So Tim Pool did an interview with a dude from Majority Report. Tim Pool is a right-wing conservative radio dude with a huge following, and they were talking about critical race theory. And Tim Pool acknowledged that critical race theory was something that's taught to grad students, not taught to school children. No one's going up to third graders and talking about critical race theory. And critical race theory is just simply showing how, for white people, in society, there's a privilege, and there's certain privileges they get historically, and in the present day today, that black folks don't get. It's like I heard it like this: I'm right-handed. Go into a schoolroom, the school chairs where you had a thing on your side and all that, and you see how everything is built for someone who's right-handed. Same thing, white supremacy, white privilege. So they get to talking about that, and Tim Pool makes the point of, what do you think white kids sit around and talk about? And he's like, I don't know. He doesn't. It's like, I don't know. It's a weird statement. And and he basically goes on to say, when those kids are separated, the blacks and the whites are separated, to talk about racism, to talk about white supremacy, he considers that to be segregation. And that's nonsense. That's complete nonsense, total nonsense. And because it's blacks and whites being separated. And they're separated for 20, 30 minutes. It's not by law. But as a black man, I viewed it a little bit differently, because segregation wasn't just about separating the races. Segregation was about unequal treatment. And that's what Majority Report missed in this. As a white man, when you use the term segregation to refer to a 30-minute talk, or it could be a 3-hour talk, I don't care. You are really, you're weakening that word. You're weakening what it meant. I grew up with a dude that was spit on during the civil rights protests. Different things took place. Segregation meant going around to the back door. Segregation, the Green Book. You'd have a book. A lot of black folks did, to tell them what restaurants were safe and what areas were not. That segregation wasn't just about, you can't come in here. It was about subpar facilities. It was about hand-me-down textbooks that are years old, where the white kids get the new textbooks. Segregation was about a society where people are left behind, and then them being left behind plays into the racial stereotypes that black people are inferior. Well, of course I'm inferior when I'm being taught behind the times of what everybody else is being taught. So Tim Pool using that statement, him intimating that separating the kids for a talk on race and segregation, and I understand what this is too. One thing I've learned, when you use terms over and over that they're not really good examples, you weaken it. You're weakening it. That's why every time something happens, conservatives use Dr. King. I remember when they had the protests about the quarantines for the masks and stuff back in March of 2020. They had Dr. King's face on banners and stuff. Now, it wasn't about racial equality. It wasn't about all the things King spoke about. He said LBJ hit his head on the beachfront of Vietnam. They weren't talking about none of that stuff. They weren't talking about the brutality of the times. They were using Dr. King as a sort of a badge of legitimacy for their cause. That's what this is. That's what using segregation, that's what that is. That's an attempt to weaken it. And it also got me that even Tim Pool knows that the critical race theory crap, the school board crap, it's just that. It's nonsense. This stuff was for grad students. It's for people who are going to be the captains of industries, people who are going to be out here in the courts and voting on the budgets and running for office, and those people, so they understand, or at least we like to give them a chance to understand how unfair society has been, and for them to get a different perspective maybe. Because you're going out into a world that's becoming more and more non-white. That's just reality. It's not conspiracy theory. And I understand this is all about the next war, the next fight, the next culture war. This is looking 100 years in the future, which Republicans do. But it is so disconcerting to know that they would take known lies and run with them. Like this thing with the shooter in Texas, Uvalde, saying that this is a transgender when he clearly wasn't. The same thing. You're taking known lies and running with it because it makes you feel good, and because it's something the dogs in the street want to hear. They want to gobble up. It's disgusting, and it's unethical, and it's wrong, and it makes me fear for the future of our democracy. Thanks for listening.